My name is Zoe Hepper, and I am a social prescriber and health coach with the NHS in East Hampshire Primary Care Network.
And what do you do with clean?
With Clean, I can use it in all sorts of different ways, but mainly I think in social prescribing, by the time somebody is with me, they're usually in real need for some real good help and support. And prior to Clean, it was a bit of a case of just listening to a story, spending time with that patient, and understanding what life is like for them, and then making suggestions of organisations, outside resources that we could pull in to support them. Although sometimes we might be faced with the case of like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, do that. And then we would lose engagement from the patient. It doesn't happen very often, but it can happen. Having done Clean, I noticed that by opening the floor a little bit more by leaving an open question, it's going to lead me to be a little bit more able to provide the right service and really understand what they want to have happen, rather than me saying, oh, well, okay, if in that case, perhaps you need to go here and do that, and we could offer that, do that, and do that. So it's more a case of they can choose, but I'm giving them the choice right at the beginning, and not clouding my judgment. Not clouding
You're,
their
op-
judgment, sorry.
you're opening more of a space for them to say what they would like to have happen.
Mm.
And what difference does it make when they have that space?
They are, they'll spend more time in a little bit more detail. I feel like, rather than sometimes I worry there's a little bit of the, white coat syndrome
Mm.
going on, even though we're social prescribers and the situation is normally more relaxed. It's not even necessarily in a consulting room. But I think that they open up a little bit more about really what it is that they envisage happening, that they imagine what they would like to have happen, rather than telling me what they think I want to hear, which again is another thing. They might say, oh yeah, well, I need to do this because of this and this, and it also this might sound a little callous, but it stops the clean language will stop the running away with all of the thoughts and feelings, and it turning into too much of a ball of trauma that you're trying to pull apart. It's much easier to be able to control it with the clean language questions, and to cut down to what really is important to them.
Right. So instead of running away with all the trauma, you cut down to what's really important to them in terms of social prescribing.
Mm.
So you're not there to treat the trauma, you're there to help them manage their lifestyle right now. Have I got
Mm.
that right?
Yeah, well, to focus on getting the key, because it's a social prescriber is a kind of, it's a support service, but it is a signposting service. So ultimately, it's making sure that we're getting the right service for them to get engaged with, and then we just support that process.
And when you don't run away down the line of the trauma and instead focus on what's really important to them now, what difference does that make in terms of your time efficiency?
Yes, exactly that. So prior to that, would be easy to sit in front of a patient for an hour and a half to 2 hours, but using Clean, it can be 20, 30 minutes.
That's a big difference.
Mm, mm,
Now, I'm curious, when you're using clean like that, you've said previously to me that you're not using pure clean, you're not using the whole coaching model. What
mm.
are you using? A clean
Um,
attitude, clean questions, or a mixture of those two things?
just the Clean questions, and it it mostly is that what would you like to have happen, and that will often if somebody's in a pickle, I'll say, can lead to a bind. So
Mm.
bind is like the biggest challenge that I have. And I just keep collecting their words. And what would you like to have happen? And with that, and with that. And then what would you like to have happen? And then, okay. And then what happens? And so we're kind of saying, well, okay, in the end, we'll say, well, we'll select this service and this service for that and that and that. And then what happens? Oh, well, okay, then I can not worry about money so much. And, I can focus some more time on my family. And great, right, this actually sounds really useful.
Mm. So what kind of bind would be an example of the kind of bind where you're collecting the
Oh, Judy. um, May perhaps a suffering with a mental health challenge. It might be a depression, anxiety thing, because
Mhm.
anxiety can be absolutely debilitating. As a result of that, you can't get back into work,
Mhm.
so you can't get the money. So then I can't afford to do that. And it's just becomes one great big bind, but I can't get back to work because I've got this anxiety. And so we just keep going round in a circle. I can't get out of that.
Mhm. And while it's not your job to fix the anxiety, we
Mm.
know that if they will just get out of the house to go for a walk, for example, it's going to have a big impact on their mental condition.
Yeah. But yes, picking apart that anxiety, and then what happens and what would you like to have happen? Well, I'd quite like to meet some new friends, or actually, I feel like I want to have some counselling, or I can't face counselling, but I'd really like to speak to the charity Mind because that's coping mechanisms, and just making sure that they understand what services there are out there and making sure that the alignment is right. And it's not, I haven't polluted that space
Mhm.
with any of my ideas. I've just come up and presented them in line with their answers to the clean questions.
Mm. And in 20 or 30 minutes rather than an hour and a half or 2 hours.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because it
And
can be very traumatizing for somebody to sit there and go through their whole life history.
mm,
And perhaps it's not always necessary. Some points absolutely are key to be able to understand, but it's not always necessary to do that to them.
mm. And is social prescribing the same or different to health coaching? I think they're different.
Yeah, they're different.
You do
Yeah,
both. So
yeah.
how might you use clean in a health coaching context?
Health coaching. So I did some work with some colleagues who were working with diabetic patients and putting their diabetes into remission. So that kind of linked with a little bit of mentoring and consultation that went along as well. But I found that there were just patients being referred to me for all sorts of different reasons, and they might come with the main headline of gone to the GP surgery, I need to lose weight, or I want to go to the gym. But behind that is just an absolute minefield of challenges that this person has faced that has brought them to this, just thinking that that's the answer. So again, the clean questions would help unravel that a little bit more. And in many cases, yes, they might have gone ahead and gone through on the metabolic health course, but it's almost as if they go, yes, I know what to do. I know what I need to do to lose weight. Oh, I know I need to get out. I need to get out of bed and I need to go for a run at 5 o'clock in the morning. I know I need to do that, but I just don't do it. And that's such a perfect situation to be able to go, okay, well, I can offer you this technique, clean questioning, and we can do a proper full-on session and you can explore what's going on there in terms of motivation or application, using the knowledge that you have acquired in order to actually just get going and change aspects of your life to be able to do what you want to do.
And then you do a full clean session with them.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the ICF, the whole full
Mm.
Monty, so to speak. Hmm.
I'm going to ask a question which is a bit left field, but somebody said to me yesterday, there's no point in you trying to scale up clean language coaching for people with chronic health conditions because so many of them don't want to change.
Interesting.
What's your response to that?
Um, I That's a bit of a sweeping statement, isn't it? I mean, from my perspective, my experience is, why has, God bless primary care, thank you. Why has a patient picked up a telephone and waited for 30 minutes to speak to somebody, or logged on to the e-consult and spent the time going through to log a query, saying, please, can I get some help with this, if they didn't want that help, if they didn't want to change? And perhaps, okay, in the interest of balance, I could say that I've had some experience working with the current weight loss jab, as it's currently known as, and maybe that statement could support that kind of activity. But then not everybody wants to do it. It's a bit of a desperate situation because it's contentious subject matter, and there's a lot of guilt with somebody um, who's had to come into the healthcare environment and say, I can't control this health condition. I need to lose weight. I need to get active. I don't know what to do. It's again a bit like this, the people who might come through for social prescribing. It feels like they're almost at their end of the tether. You know, they've gone out and they've done the group diets, or they've spent loads of money on this, that, and everything, and still not been successful. And I think that just giving them some time and saying, okay, we've got an hour now, let's have a conversation, and throwing in some clean questions, it cuts away at all of that guilt and all of that pain. And often it will evoke really powerful emotions, even though actually all we're talking about is food. But it leads on to other things as well. And actually we might find that deep down there's been some horrendous trauma which actually needs dealing with. So then I'll switch my hat over and go, right, okay, well, you know, perhaps we need to do something with this first. Let's get that sorted, and then come back, and then we'll have another conversation and move on to something else, and support in that way.
So those kinds of full 1 hour sessions, full ICF badged
Yeah.
and polished, that's a private service. That's not within the NHS.
Yeah, it is. Excuse me, an NHS hour. It's an hour of my work. I offer that as my job. So
Wow.
if the patient needs it and wants it, then I'll deliver it.
I had no idea that was ever available.
Well, I think it's a me thing. I have to obviously told the
Yeah.
surgery that yes, I can do this, but you know, in a situation where I'm talking to a patient about what they want and what they need, if it turns out that it is something that they need to work on, like their motivation because they know what to do and they just can't cut through that, then it makes sense. It's the obvious choice.
And if you've saved yourself an hour and a half on the old social prescribing side, you've got time to do it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That seems to me to be a very exciting way of thinking about the psychological side of
Mm,
healthcare. That actually helping people to understand what's important to them,
mm,
signposting resources as required, and if they do want to go deeper and be more coached about more complex issues, having time to do that.
yeah, yeah.
So what would you say to someone who was just looking at the edges of clean and going, oh, that looks a bit strange. Why would I learn that? What difference do you think it makes knowing a bit of clean if you work in the health system?
I think it's really powerful in terms of in terms of completely understanding the patient. And we all know that time is critical in the healthcare environment, for the clinical profession. Clean questions help to cut through that that all that information that is sitting within that patient that they just want to let out. Whilst it is very important, and I'm not discounting that information is important, the clean questions help to get to the root much quicker than the patient will be able to understand, because it's such a contentious subject matter held within them.
Thank you. And one last thing. In the survey that Saskia and I did about how people were using clean in healthcare, one of the themes that came out was that people who were using it found it helped them as well as the people they were working with. Have you noticed any effects on you of using clean?
Personally,
Mm.
oh yes, like in my mind all the time. Yes, absolutely. Faced with binds, faced with issues on a daily basis, that prime question. Yeah, and Zoe, what would you like to have happen? Oh, well, actually, I'd like that. And what does that look like? And has it got a size and a shape? Yes, it has. Where is it? Oh, it's there. Oh, let's really, really look at it. And it does. It's like an own internal little dialogue going on in my mind now. It is incredible.
And what kind of incredible? A good thing, bad thing?
Oh no, it is astonishing, because it feels like I can work through my own problems, and I don't even need to sit there with my best girlfriends going, "Oh my God, I'm so this is so annoying," because that doesn't happen to me anymore. I don't have that negativity. I mean, I do sometimes, but I generally don't have that level of negativity and need to go to my girlfriends and just do trauma dump. We can actually just have different types of conversations. It's very liberating, very liberating.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thanks for having me.